All right, let's dive into this whole Tesla Pi phone thing. Real or not, it kind of feels like we're in two different universes right now with all this buzz. On one side, you've got Elon Musk saying, nope, not happening. But then you've got YouTubers like Atom Tech going all in on specs and production timelines and everything. We've got two sources for this deep dive, by the way. One's a video from Atom Tech where they're super hyped about this phone, like it's already a done deal. And then we've got this article from Indian Defense Review, which is basically saying, hold up, folks, this is all just smoke and mirrors, so buckle up because we're about to sort through all of this and see if we can make any sense of it. Oh, and before we forget, if you're digging this kind of deep dive, hit that like button and subscribe to The Other Opinion for more. All right, so let's start with the article from Indian Defense Review. They're pretty clear-cut about this. No Tesla phone. They actually quote Elon Musk from his chat with Joe Rogan, where he straight up says Tesla isn't building a phone right now. He does say they could, but it's not on their radar at the moment.
Yeah, the quote is pretty definitive. He basically says it'd be easy for Tesla to do, given their tech, but it's just not a priority.
Okay, so we've got Elon saying no. But then we jump into the Atom Tech video, and it's like a completely different story. They're not just saying maybe. They're laying out this detailed picture of the phone, features, production, the works. And the kicker, they're claiming this thing's going to cost like $357 for a Tesla phone. What's going on here?
It's pretty wild, right?
Is this just some hardcore Tesla fans letting their imagination run wild? Or have they gotten their hands on some leaked info about a top-secret project? Who knows? But either way, it's definitely got people talking. So how does Atom Tech justify that super low price tag?
Well, they go into a whole breakdown of how Tesla supposedly saves money on production.
Like what?
They talk about Tesla's gigafactories, you know, those massive factories they already have.
Right.
And they say Tesla would use those for the Pi phone, too, which cuts down on costs.
Makes sense.
They also mention Tesla using recycled aluminum and ceramic glass for the phone's body. Apparently, that's cheaper and more eco-friendly.
Gotta love that.
And get this, they even say Tesla would adopt their 4680 battery tech, the one they use in their cars, for the Pi phone. So basically, they're arguing that Tesla can undercut Apple and Samsung by a mile because of their existing infrastructure and tech.
It's a bold claim. I mean, could Tesla really shake up the smartphone market like they did with electric cars? What do you think?
It's a big question mark. On the one hand, Tesla has a track record of disrupting industries. But the smartphone market is super competitive. Apple and Samsung are giants.
Totally. And we've got Elon saying they're not even working on a phone. It's definitely food for thought. We'd love to hear your take on this. Do you think Atom Tech is onto something, or are they just way off base? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to share this with your friends to get the other opinion. And while you're at it, hit that like button and subscribe to stay tuned for more. We're just getting started, trust me. There's a lot more to unpack here, and you won't want to miss it.
Absolutely. Things are about to get even more interesting. Atom Tech lays out this whole production plan. They're talking about Tesla pumping out 10 million Pi phones in 2025 alone. They even give specific numbers for different regions, like 1.5 million units for the U.S., focusing on those tech-savvy states. And they suggest Tesla would build a new factory in India to tap into the workforce there and lower costs.
Whoa, that's a pretty aggressive plan, especially when you consider Elon's flat-out denial. It's like Indian Defense Review and Atom Tech are talking about two completely different companies. I mean, could Tesla even pull off that kind of production scale if they were secretly working on this?
It's a mind-boggling thought, for sure.
It really is. And wait, it gets even crazier.
Oh, yeah.
Atom Tech doesn't just stop at the production plan. They go on to describe all these features that sound straight out of science fiction.
Like what? I'm intrigued.
We're talking direct Starlink 5G connectivity for global coverage, quantum encryption for unbreakable security. They even mention a built-in holographic display. Is this a phone or a James Bond gadget?
Sounds pretty wild.
It's mind-blowing.
I mean, these are features that even Apple and Samsung haven't figured out. If Atom Tech is right and Tesla is actually doing this, it could be a total game changer.
No kidding. What do you think is the most out there feature? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to share this with your friends so we can get the other opinion. We're diving deeper into these crazy features next, so stay tuned.
All right, so let's unpack some of these features. Starting with that Starlink 5G connectivity, Atom Tech is saying you'd have crazy fast internet anywhere in the world, all for just $10 a month. Is that even possible?
It does sound almost too good to be true, doesn't it? No more dead zones, no more crazy roaming charges. You could be in the middle of nowhere and still have a perfect video call. Atom Tech is basically saying Tesla would use Starlink satellites to bypass all the usual cell tower stuff, which would supposedly make it cheaper and more reliable. I mean, is this the future of mobile internet?
It's a cool idea, but there are definitely some big questions, like could Tesla really offer that kind of service for $10 a month and still make money? And what about the technical challenges? Managing all those satellites to make sure there's coverage everywhere is a huge task.
Yeah, not to mention all the different regulations they'd have to deal with in every country. But Atom Tech seems to think Tesla's the only company that could actually pull this off. They say Tesla's experience with SpaceX gives them a big advantage with satellites. And let's be real, Tesla has a history of doing things everyone thought were impossible. So what do you think? Would you pay $10 a month for global internet coverage? Hit us up in the comments and let's discuss.
Okay, moving on to security. This is where things get really interesting. Atom Tech claims the Pi phone would have quantum encryption, and they say it would use Starlink satellites to make it basically unhackable.
Quantum encryption, huh? That sounds like something out of a spy movie.
Right.
But is it really that powerful?
From what Atom Tech describes, it seems like it could be the ultimate cybersecurity solution. They say it would make the Pi phone immune to hacking, even from governments and stuff.
Wow. I mean, with all the data breaches happening these days, that's a pretty appealing feature.
Definitely. But even with the best encryption, there are still vulnerabilities like human error or someone finding a flaw in the phone's hardware or software.
True, you can't account for everything. All right, next up we have the holographic display. Atom Tech says the Pi phone could project 3D images, basically turning your phone into a portable monitor. Imagine watching 3D movies or doing some crazy multitasking with holograms.
That sounds straight out of Star Trek.
Right.
It's a really exciting concept. But could they actually shrink that technology down to fit in a phone? And would it be affordable?
Yeah, those are the million-dollar questions. We've seen holographic displays and things like AR headsets, but putting that in a smartphone would be a huge challenge.
Totally. And what about battery life? Holographic displays use a lot of power.
Good point. Atom Tech doesn't really address those practical concerns,
True.
but they do paint a pretty compelling picture of the potential benefits.
Imagine the possibilities for education, entertainment, even healthcare. If they can actually make it work, it could revolutionize how we use our devices.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to something even more mind-boggling. Pi skin biometric authentication. You ready for this?
Hit me with it.
Atom Tech says this technology would read your unique bioelectrical signals. So basically, your phone would recognize you by your energy signature. No more fingerprints or facial recognition.
Wow, that's next level stuff.
Right.
Atom Tech is basically saying current biometrics are too easy to fool. Like you can trick facial recognition with a mask or a photo, and fingerprints can be copied.
Yeah.
But they say your bioelectrical signals are constantly changing and almost impossible to duplicate.
So this Pi skin thing would be super secure.
Exactly.
It sounds amazing, but also a little creepy.
How so?
I mean, how comfortable would you be with your phone constantly monitoring your bioelectrical signals?
That's a good point. There are definitely some privacy concerns there.
For sure.
And Atom Tech doesn't really say how Tesla would protect your privacy with this technology.
Yeah, that's a big question mark. Okay, moving on to the camera. Get this. Atom Tech says the Pi phone would have a hyperspectral camera, which can capture way more light than normal cameras.
Hyperspectral, what's that?
It can see ultraviolet, infrared, and visible light all at the same time.
Seriously?
Yeah, they even compare it to those professional-grade cameras photographers use.
That's incredible.
So what could you do with a hyperspectral camera on your phone?
Atom Tech suggests all sorts of crazy applications, like analyzing the chemical makeup of your food, or detecting hidden problems in buildings, even diagnosing medical conditions.
That's wild.
It would be like having a portable lab in your pocket.
But is that even realistic? I mean, hyperspectral imaging is usually done with big, expensive equipment. Could Tesla really put that in a smartphone and make it affordable?
That's the big question. And how would the average person even understand all that data?
Right? It would be like having a supercomputer in your hand, but not knowing how to use it.
Exactly. Atom Tech doesn't really explain the technical challenges or what the user interface would be like.
Yeah, they kind of gloss over those details.
But they do suggest that Tesla would use AI to make sense of all the data.
So the phone would basically do all the analysis for you.
That's the idea.
Wow, that would be pretty amazing.
It would be, but like with all these features, we need to be realistic. Until we see some actual proof, it's all just speculation.
For sure. But it's definitely fun to speculate. And hey, if you're enjoying this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to The Other Opinion for more. We're not done yet. We still have to talk about that decentralized data storage system and the Neuralink integration. So stick around. Things are about to get even more mind-blowing. Okay, so we're back, and we've got two more big features to cover from Atom Tech's Tesla Pi phone vision. First up, the decentralized data storage system. No more relying on the cloud, they say. Instead, everything would be stored across a network of devices, all powered by Starlink.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting from a security standpoint.
Right.
Atom Tech is basically saying that spreading your data out like that makes it way harder to hack.
So instead of all my photos and messages and everything sitting on some server farm just waiting for someone to break in, you're like scattered across a million different devices, right?
Exactly, like a digital dandelion seed.
I like that analogy.
It makes it much harder to gather all the pieces.
That sounds pretty revolutionary, honestly.
It is a novel approach, and it fits in with the whole trend of decentralization we're seeing in tech these days.
But is it actually feasible? I mean, managing a network like that on a global scale has got to be super complicated.
For sure, there are definitely some challenges there. Ensuring data integrity and making sure users can access their stuff seamlessly are big hurdles.
And what about the cost? Right now, we're used to paying monthly fees for cloud storage. How would this decentralized system work financially? Would it be free, or would there be some kind of peer-to-peer payment thing going on?
Unfortunately, Atom Tech doesn't really dive into the economics of it all. It's definitely an area where we need more info to really understand how it would work.
Yeah, it's a big question mark. Okay, so last but not least, we have the Neuralink Lite integration. It's the one I've been waiting for. Mind control with your phone, people.
It does sound pretty sci-fi, doesn't it?
Totally. But before we get too carried away, Atom Tech does clarify that it wouldn't be a brain implant. Thank goodness. It'd be more like a headband that reads your brain waves.
So basically, you could control your phone with your mind.
Exactly.
Think about making a call, and the phone dials the number. Think about sending a text, and the words appear on the screen.
That's insane.
It is pretty wild. And it's not completely out there. There are already brain-computer interfaces that can do similar things.
True, but this would be taking it to a whole new level. I mean, I'm not sure I'm ready to have my phone reading my thoughts.
Yeah, the privacy implications are definitely something to consider.
Like, how do we know our thoughts are actually private with this kind of technology? Atom Tech doesn't really address that.
Yeah, they kind of gloss over the ethical and privacy concerns, which is a bit worrying.
For sure. Well, that was a whirlwind. We went from, is the Tesla Pi phone even real? To talking about holographic displays, quantum encryption, and mind control.
It's crazy how much ground we covered.
It really shows how fast technology is moving and how much potential there is to change the world.
Absolutely.
So where do we go from here? Is the Tesla Pi phone a glimpse into a future, or is it just a fantasy?
I guess we'll have to wait and see. But even if the Pi phone never actually exists, these conversations are important.
Totally.
They force us to think critically about where technology is headed and what kind of future we want to create.
Well said. And that's what The Other Opinion is all about. Exploring the unexpected, asking tough questions, and having those important conversations. So if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. And don't forget to share it with your friends and let us know what you think in the comment. We always love to hear the other opinion. Oh, and one last thing, just a reminder that this was an AI-generated podcast, so while we try our best to be accurate, some of the info might be a little off. Always do your own research and form your own conclusions. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.